Hey, what's up? KOK here. By popular demand, this is my really quick and dirty Criterion guide. The goal isn't to cover everything since this is week 1, but just the things that I consider the most important. Start things off, we have a pretty hard trash room. There are 2 packs of mobs, but the main gimmick is this blue guy in the middle. Once you pull the mobs, the blue guy starts patrolling around the room in a set pattern, and if he aggroes onto anyone on your team, he will one-punch man your whole team until you're dead. So to solve this, the first pack you just pull to the bottom right corner. After you kill that, you pull the left pack into the bottom left corner. Around the time where he's strolling up middle again, he will do a left or right cleave. For this, I would recommend having the left pack of mobs on the south center of the room so your team can easily dodge left or right if necessary. Once you've killed the 2 big dogs, the blue goblin becomes killable, so go ahead and beat him up for all the pain he's caused you. The first major mechanic of the first boss is Storm Cloud Summons. He summons a bunch of Skittles and sucks them up between 1 to 3 times. If he sucks once or twice, this is how I solve the mechanic. First, look at the red line AoE down the center. There will be 3 Skittles touching the AoE, but 1 slightly off. Just run to that slightly off Skittle and then dodge into the first red line. If he sucks 3 times, there will be 3 Skittles. Again, look for the 1 Skittle that is touching the red line and be about 1/3 of the way around the room against the wall. It will be a very large AoE, but once you see it, you will dodge into it. I would also recommend using sprint here since it can be tight if your positioning is a little bit off. Next mechanic is dashes. The boss will create a loop around the room, and the safe spot will either be in the loop or just outside of the loop. The way to tell is to look at the edge to see if there is a ring perpendicular to the outer. The safe spot will be one of these 2 positions. First, I check to see if the outer loop is safe. An easy way to tell is to just look across on the wall and see if there is a ring perpendicular to you. If there isn't, then you can just stay there. However, if there is a ring, then you will have to move into the loop, and that will be the safe spot. Next, there will be either partner stacks or a spread. However, there will be a set of goblins on either cardinals or intercardinals that will divide the safe spot into a quarter. Easy way of figuring out the safe spot will be by looking at the 2 goblins looking through the center of the arena. Goblins will raise their arm and they will be cleaving the side of the raised arm. You can essentially ignore the goblins that are not looking towards the center. Resolve your partner stacks or spreads, and then the opposite will happen in the second set of goblins. Next mechanic is bullet hell. Honestly, just dodge. It's a lot easier if you're on the edges of the arena, so melees can consider just dropping uptime for this. The next unnatural whale will create either another set of partner stacks and spreads. Figure out which one happens first, and then resolve the in or out that is happening at the same time. Vortex into I is an in to out. I into vortex is an out to in. Mash and lash if you know what I'm talking about. Next, a natural whale will create 4 ghosts that will tether to each member. They will slowly creep towards you, dropping puddles along the way. Also, 2 players will be marked with large spreads. The spread players should try to end up away from the towers so that their spreads do not hit the tower soakers, and the 2 non-spreads will try to soak a tower. Try to path yourself so that you have plenty of room to loop around to reach your final location. The rest of the fight is repeat mechs, so just kill the dog. The second pack of trash is easy. Just dodge the annoying wind things on the side of the arena, dodge the shurikens, and don't stand in front of the left or rightward blows. Boss 2. Start things off with a partner stack, and there will be a lot of AoEs. Basically, if his feet is glowing blue, partners should look for a circle AoE that is centered on a line AoE and stand on the circle. If the rat is glowing purple, then find the corner that is emptier than the other corner. The partner stacks are random, so just have a priority and flex set up. Spread for Proteans, then dodge out of it. Next mechanic is lightning orbs. Healer will get marked with a shrink. The marked healer will stand on the lightning orb that is farther away from the other lightning orbs. You can kind of use your eyes to figure this out. And then there will be a wild charge targeted on the healer. I've been told only the tank and healer need to soak together, with the tank in the front. But for my group, we just had the DPS stay in the beam also. For some reason, taking the shrink also reduces the damage from the beam, so I don't know what's up with that. Program loop time. We've done top, this will be a piece of cake. All 4 members will get buffs, and the color and number will tell you which set of towers to take. If you have a red 1, you're soaking the first red tower. If you're not soaking a tower, so the buffs 2 or 4 people, you will be grabbing tethers and baiting the Protean beams away from the tower players. Between every set of towers, there will be a tether handoff, and the next set of players will be soaking their towers. I would also recommend pre-positioning your tether to be closer to your next tower, since the next set of towers spawn a little bit early. Next is Exas with a partner stack or spread in a random order. Just have some sort of priority set up and dodge the Exas. In my opinion, partner stack first is way easier than spread first. But if your team comp has a lot of movement cheats like Sage or Ninja, you can cheese the spread to stack pretty easily too. In case you don't have free movement, I think spreads to stack should look something like this. I don't know, you guys can figure it out. Everyone's favorite mechanic is next. We're talking about limit cut. Players get assigned a number 1, 2, 3, 4, and the rat will jump 2 players in that order. The gimmick here is when he lands from a jump, he drops a very large plus-sized AoE that spans the entire arena length, based on the direction of the jump. While my group was cooking with KOK specific limit cut strats, one of my friends told me about their strat, which I will call the Foy strat, and that's the person that told me about it. 1, 2, 3, 4 should go to their set position, and after their jump, 1, 2, and 4 will dodge towards the east cardinal. 3 can dodge to either the north or the west cardinal. This is to ensure they dodge the next jump as well as the final jump in the middle that the rat will do. The last mechanic is Towers 2. Honestly, you should be aiming to skip this mechanic in normal mode at least, but if you really insist on learning this mechanic, there's a strat I like called the Reina strat. Really just boils down to step 1, looking at your tower 1 and 2 debuff color, and you stand on the opposite color to drop your first tower. After the tower drop, you sprint and run across the arena while looking at your color 3 debuff and finding the right tower to soak. Sometimes you'll have to cross, sometimes you won't. In this toolbox example, the Dark Knight and the Dancer would have to swap sides, but the Dragoon and the Scholar can run across to soak their towers. Shout out to Eldis for this toolbox. I'll put it in the description if you want to study it further. Boss 3 time, Moko the Restless. The main mechanic of this fight are these cleaves that appear over the boss's head. This signals which side of the samurai will be safe. Additionally, if the cleave is blue, that means the inner hitbox of the samurai will be safe. If the cleave is orange, the outside of the hitbox. This gets a little tricky because the samurai will rotate based on the last save spot. For example, if the first save spot was to the right, the samurai will be facing left for the next cleave. You can either rotate the samurai in your mind or rotate your camera to help things out, but it's also possible to just react as long as you're memorizing the safe directions. The next mechanic will draw fire lines on the floor, of which 2 will glow. That means there will be 1 safe corner for your party to resolve this next set of partner stacks and spreads. To make things spicy, one member will be tethered by the boss with a familiar cleave above the boss's head. The tethered player will now act as the samurai because the direction the player will be facing will be how the safe area is resolved. For example, if your left side is safe, you want to point the left side of your player towards your party members so that they do not get hit by your cleave. Make sure to resolve your stacks or spreads and then move to the final safe corner to resolve the opposite. Next mechanic is Shadow Twin. There will be 2 ads that spawn that will tether a player. Take the time to pair up with 1 tethered player and 1 non-tethered player. Shortly after, 2 large hands will spawn that will make 2 cardinals unsafe. The remaining 2 cardinals will be the locations to resolve the tethers. To start things off, either look at the diamond above the boss's head or the cast bar. This will telegraph a far bait or a near bait. This will affect either the 2 farthest players or the 2 nearest players with a route that must be baited by the non-tethered players. The tethered players must now make their partner safe by looking away from them in the safe triangle. You look away because the first safe cleave will always be south first. So by shaking your butt at your partner, they will be safe from the cleave. Pair must also keep track of the second cleave that will flash. This will determine the next safe spot the pair must dodge to. The mechanic immediately repeats with the same exact process. Either a near or far bait, AoE route, plus dodging the 2 cleaves from your ad. Next, the samurai will draw blue lines on the floor, similar to the fire pattern. However, instead of expanding AoEs, these will now cause a rippling AoE. Keep track of which lines glow first and dodge into them accordingly. It gets very chaotic in the middle, and to top things off, the samurai will now be flashing the same cleaves at the beginning, so someone needs to keep track of it and call it out. The final mechanic is Soldiers of War with 4 ads. To find the safe spots, you only need to look for the glowing blue ad. The blue ad will shoot a corner and make the neighboring 2 cardinals unsafe. The remaining 2 cardinals will be the new safe spots that the pairs must resolve in. To resolve this mechanic, double pot and Tenka will be the first hit. Easy clear. Okay, jokes aside, the 2 DPS should pair together and the 2 supports should pair together for the final 2 safe spots. All players should look at their ad for the second flash that happens. The first will always be a south, and the second will either be a left or a right. Make sure that your safe cleave area is pointing inwards, and look towards your nearest corner. By doing so, the first south safe cleave will be between the 2 players. So after the bait, both partners will meet up, followed by dodging inwards. If 2 ads are too close to each other, they will tether together, causing a unrecoverable wipe. I would highly recommend watching a VOD of a Savage clear for this, because it is honestly not as bad as it seems once you take a look at it. That's it for my Criterion guide. I'm sure strats will be a lot better once things are figured out. Hope you found it a little bit useful. If you want to see more, I would appreciate a subscription also. Trying to hit 1K, and there's plenty of more raid guides planned for the future. Take care and good luck on your mount drops.